Hi, I'm Ryan Daws, Senior Editor at TechForge Media, and joining me today is Shan Yu, the Senior Vice President of Smartdaten Technologies. So, Shan, there are quite a few low-code/no-code solutions on the market. What makes you guys stand out?
Basically, Smardaten is still a young company we created in 2016, but we have brought along a very sharp and very cutting-edge technology that's very different from all the other locals in the market. So basically, what differentiates us is basically all the locals company in the market, they're using a methodology, what we call the model-driven methodology. So that methodology involves a lot of human engineers, that's very skilled IT professionals, to build the data modeling in order to drive the front-end application building. However, for Smardaten, we use a completely different approach, very innovative approach, of course. So basically, the data comes to our platform. We will first treat them automatically to become intelligent data, okay? So they become very intelligent and autonomous and very knowledgeable about who they are, where they come from which database, from which entry, which location, and who has been doing what to them in terms of editing, deleting, adding, or anything. And they become this so knowledgeable and intelligent data that will be knowing how to link to other data from different data sources and how to form the automatic data modeling. So the data becomes self-driven data modeling instead of the human-built modeling. And that has a fundamental difference in terms of flexibility, because the human-built modeling, basically, you have to change the modeling by human, of course. If anything happens on the front end, for example, the application needs a new change or new adaptations, or the new requirements comes up from the business user's point of view, and that needs the back-end engineers to rebuild the modeling because each data is connected to so many data. Plus, there's a very complicated modeling going on, a lot of dimensions. So that modeling becomes so heavy and rigid to change and almost impossible because you need the original person who designed the modeling to get involved to change the model. In many cases, that's almost impossible case because that person has gone. Nobody can find and identify who has built the original model. So that becomes extremely heavy and a rigid process to adapt to any changes. Whereas our modeling is done by the data themselves, of course. It's very autonomous, very automatic and intelligent. So the data model can be done, rebuilt at any time on the go and adapted to any new requirements and new changes. So that becomes extremely fast, very speedy and very flexible, powerful solution to any adaptations and upgrading to the new requirements. That, I would say, that's a fundamental difference. Of course, we have another very big differentiator, such as we're the only company that has the big data side of capabilities. All the other locals, they're missing out the data side of capabilities. They're purely focused on application building and workflow building. So that's a very important side because we know the data is nowadays fundamental and critical side of the value creation, right? So we have this data side, and if data plus application equals value, you cannot create value only on application or only on data side. And these two add together is not a very simple 1 + 1 = 2. It's actually 1 + 1 much, much more powerful than 2 because they create like an inner ecosystem. Data works for application, and in turn, application will create even more data and feedback to the data foundation and increasing the data asset value. So that becomes like an ever-circulating, very, very positive circle of value creation. So that's basically separates us from all the other local players.
Considering you're still a relatively early stage company, you seem to have significant interest, and I believe you might have some other big clients off of the back of this.
Yeah.
What are some of the key benefits that businesses experience from integrating your solution?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have seen such an amazing value creation from all the customers' feedbacks. They're so mega happy. Just give you a very simple example. This Q1 in 2022, we just completed a very successful project as a data solution provider for Winter Olympics, Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. And it's a very tight deadline for this project, and that involves enormous amount of the data source integrations, because you can imagine if you want to monitor road situations, lots of cameras going on, lots of ETCs, paying stations, cameras going on, lots of databases integrate. So it's a very complex multi-data format integration, very complex system integration. Plus, we need to develop and deliver many, many different analytics, all the data analytics on the dashboard. So we completed the whole project involving large amounts of complex data systems within only 12 days. So that is amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then that comes up with terabytes of data processing every day. So it's a massive amount of data capability we have evolved in this project. So that gives you a flavor about what we typically can do. That is, basically, we can shorten the traditional software or application development time with 1 to 2 years, probably on average, down to 3 to 6 weeks. So that's a tremendous amount of the efficiency improvement. And also, not only the shortened delivery cycle, but we also reduce the user barrier dramatically. That means, we don't ever need anymore very skilled IT professionals, coding people. They don't need coding skills people, actually, like business managers like you and me. We know nothing about coding, but we can build anything around our needs, our bespoke needs. That we can develop the workflow, we can develop application software, even ERP software, and very complex software with no coding skills at all. That's why the Beijing Winter Olympics game, we used only 3 junior engineers, not even IT-skilled IT professionals, so they can complete such a complex system with short time. So that tells you how easy this can be used.
Watch out, developer. Smardaten's coming for your jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're obviously in a very challenging global environment right now. How is Smardaten helping companies get through it?
Yeah, it's very difficult at the moment. We know that we're just almost over the pandemic period. And actually, interestingly, the pandemic situation actually triggered low-code and no-code, the hot trend. Because you can see that globally, all the governments, they're almost desperate to release software or applications to track the disease or track the infections, very fast. They needed the software to be developed very fast. So actually, the low-code and no-code helped a lot this trend. So basically, we can see that there's a big improvement in terms of awareness of low-code and no-code, and adaptations by the government, public sectors, by the private sectors is very fast now. So we can see that there's a huge benefit from low-code and no-code to address to those demanding situation, complex situation, and very short delivery time and lead cycles. So we can definitely see this is, what's really low-code and no-code can bring to the market, honestly.
Brilliant. So what will Smardaten be focusing on in 2023 and beyond?
Oh, I would say definitely international market is one of the top on the agenda. It's our top strategy focus at the moment. We started to develop into the international markets from late last year, so over 1 year now. And we're definitely, we're already having made some really great progress with Saudi Arabia, the Middle East. There's a lot of budget, giving to the digitalization process. Government are very aware and very keen to invest in the digitalization, of course. And here as well, we know that European governments, public sectors, they all are very committed to the digitalization. So we can see this low-code and no-code can definitely accelerate, help them to even accelerate better the digitalization process. And the great thing about low-code and no-code, especially the data-driven no-code, is we can very effectively address 2 biggest challenges of the digitalization failure. I don't know if you're aware that McKinsey and Gartner has published both, more or less almost same time. They published 2 research reports that reporting almost 85% of the digitalization projects failed. So that's a very stunning failure rate, because we know that people committed to so much investment into the digitalization projects, but there's so little success rate. And that we found from all our so many dozens of years of digitalization work and expertise and know-how in the market, we come to the conclusion there are 2 major hindrances, major factors contributing to this failure rate. So the first one is what we call the data silo issues. So basically, so many, we have put in so much money, investment, hardware, software, human, into the digitalization. However, people don't realize, actually, we are building up lots and lots of isolated system silos. So each system you put in, for example, from individual individual software vendors, they give you a software that forms an isolated environment. So the ERP system and CRM system or other TMS, WMS system, they wouldn't talk to each other because their data are defined different. The data are named different, and the data standards are different. So the data cannot really channel across each other very easily. That makes the data restricted in their barrier. It couldn't come and flow fluently across systems. And that creates a huge barrier for the front-end users to extract the precise data timely and to make the data make sense. And that was what we call the data silos. However, on our system, our platform, we can effectively solve this problem because you can integrate all the data sources together on a single platform instantly and put them under the same data standard, data governance system, and make them all governed by the same standards. So they will be talking the same language, okay? So they will be standardized and talk to the same language. They will be flowing together very, very easily and fluently across systems. So that's completely broken down the barrier of data silos. That's the first factor. Second factor is we all know, it's very commonly existing that in the business world, that business users and IT professionals, they don't talk in the same language. So there's a huge gap between business users and IT people. IT people build something or purchase some software that's not correspond to the needs of the business people or the operational people. So they found it's not easy to use. It's not what I want. So that creates a huge problem because they put it aside. They wouldn't care about it. They wouldn't use it. And that creates a huge hindrance to digitalization because how can you make data make sense even if you don't have input from data? So we can resolve this problem on our platform also very easily and very effectively because we make this so easy to use, and any business people, operational team, they can use this tool to build anything they want, and they tend to use more something they like to use and something they design themselves rather than relying on other people, IT people, to interpret what they want, and most of the time it's wrong. So that resolves the problem very effectively because they can build any bespoke workflow application software very easily. So they tend to analyze data much more and use data much more. So this helps to enable the digitalization success rate from 15% to 90%. We can see a very huge surge of success rate in digitalization.
Brilliant. Well, I was going to ask what some of the key challenges faced by businesses are, but you've already listed that, so that's fine. That's everything from me today, Shan. So thank you for coming along.